Yo, Homegrown Podcast here. Your boy Jamorio, Raphael, and we got a special guest. I actually got the pleasure to open up for him all weekend at Pachanga Casino. The one and only, yours truly, Pete George. What's up, Pete?
You were killing it. It was awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it was great working together.
It's good doing rooms where it's like people, mostly white, old, and they can't relate to nothing I'm saying, but they still laugh. That's so you know comedy is universal.
Especially casino rooms, because casino rooms could be kind of tight. But they were fun. Tonight, they were a blast.
You think it was a Trump crowd? Most of the crowds were like Trump.
I didn't even want to think about it.
You're just going there blindly. What's going to work, it works.
But like, most like even when you got the joke, you say, "Come on, you guys got your thumbs up your ass," or it's like that's your joke, that's your set.
Yeah, it is. But here's this is the crazy part. So Republicans used to be the ones that were uptight. Now it's the extreme liberals that are uptight, and the Republicans are the ones that are more fun to perform to. It's just completely flipped.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
I've noticed that. I was like, wow, they're the ones that are not PC. It's the extreme liberals that seem to be extreme.
All right, I've been doing comedy 9 years this December. How long you been doing comedy, Pete?
About 29 years.
Damn, bro, you got me.
Over 8,500 shows.
Hell yeah.
And sometimes I feel like it's not, because I still suck once in a while. I mean, it just happens. Or
we're human.
Yeah, I mean.
We're not robots.
Well, I find that when you do stand-up, you go through these phases where you write your material, you have your show, and after a while, it just starts to get old, it becomes mechanical, and you get in your head about it. Mm-hmm. That's the time that you got to start shaking things up. I'm in that place again. I've been in that place 50 times in my career. Mm-hmm. I'm ready for a new shake-up.
Why do we stop doing certain jokes that we used to do that were that they were good jokes, but for some reason we just stopped doing them? Why do you think that happens?
Just to make room for new stuff.
We feel like we outgrow our material?
Yeah, we outgrow it, right? You change, you become different. You're a different person. I mean, I'm a different person than even some of the jokes I wrote 5 years ago, and some of the things are on their way out.
Yeah.
I had one of my biggest bits I did for years, which got a huge response, was a black version of Stairway to Heaven. And it was great, but I just got to the point that I was like, I'm just done with that, And I thought I'd never be, but once I did it, it's been like 6 months, I almost can't even remember the bit now.
Yeah, and that's because you end up forgetting. That's another thing, too.
Yeah.
The timing, all that. Well, for people that didn't know, Pete George travels all over, headlines all over. What's the farthest you went to do stand-up?
Okinawa.
Damn. For the troops?
No, for the Asians.
Hey,
my whole Chinese pirate bit.
But that's not one of the... That's Okinawa. Why does it sound like one of the islands that we bombed in Japan?
Well, actually, Okinawa...
Or was that Hiroshima?
Okinawa is 2-hour flight from Japan.
Oh, I see.
And that's where the big battle took place in World War II.
That's why it sounds familiar.
We took over the island. Basically, we have 7 bases there. And I was at Kadena Air Base. And we did 4 shows in like 4 days, and some of them, it was weird because of the time zone from West Coast here.
Yeah.
Like I'm performing at getting on stage at 4 a.m, and it's just it just messes with you.
Jet lag.
First show I did, I'm in the officers' lounge, 4 comics and an MC, which was Barry. Mm-hmm. I went up last, and I'm up there, and these 2 Marines come in drunk, heckling me like crazy. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know it till the next day. As a performer on the base, I outranked them. I could have made them get on the stage and do 100 push-ups drunk.
That's funny.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that. I was like, man, I wish I
just
known
by being a performer on the stage.
Just,
well... So I'm like, you got military background? No, Pete?
No, if you're a performer on the base, I don't know what the status was, you're considered an officer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so that way it addresses hecklers.
Well, I wish. I should say that every show, even at clubs.
Did any of those kind of performances when you perform for a troop, like you ever went to Iraq or somewhere where you feel like you're in danger?
I was in Keokuk, Iowa. Yeah. No.
Right?
I didn't go to where...
A bunch of hillbillies danger.
Yeah, right? I didn't go where the crazy stuff was. Okinawa was fun. But that's... I've done tons and tons of bases here. Mm-hmm. But I didn't go to Iraq. So.
And then I heard the military guys, I've never done any shows yet. I'm speaking in fruition for the troops. But I heard they like the real dirty stuff, and you don't have to be clean out there, do you? Or do you?
No, generally I just did a military base here, and they were telling me everything I couldn't say. And I'm like, well, that's my act. And I was like, wait a minute.
Because of PC culture now?
Yeah, and I'm like, hang on a second, wait a minute. I said, you don't want me to say something because the person who is trained to kill people might be offended over words. I said, have you listened to what their boss talks about Trump? Right? I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And so I went up and I just did what I do anyway, and thank God I did because it was great. And some of the soldiers came up and they go, man, he goes, you have no idea. When there's nobody around the officers, he goes, you cannot believe the race things we say we call each other.
Yeah.
Because that's actually what bonds us together, because we know it's a joke.
Yeah.
And the fact is that you're giving them a service because they might not see the next day, whatever may happen to these soldiers, because they're doing the job that they're meant to do. And if anything were to happen to them, hopefully not, they had an amazing day the night before.
That's the whole point.
Right.
You make them forget about the traumas and they had PTSD, all this
Our
stuff.
job on stage is to be fully self-expressed, completely. Mm-hmm. And our job on stage, I think, is to allow the audience to feel fully self-expressed. It doesn't mean they're going to heckle you, but you want them sitting there feeling like they can just laugh at anything you say.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because, in life, two things happen, right? It's something happens, and then there's a story we make up about what happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the story is the disempowering context that always causes all the PC and all the offensiveness.
Because people are scared of
Right.
offensive.
All that happened was somebody made a joke. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts of Joan Rivers being one of the main advocates of that? Comedians should not be apologizing. And she was really huge on that. She was really huge that, hey, if you're going to say something, you stand by it because it's the intention.
She was a comedian though, Joan Rivers.
Right. But also, when she really started to hit it, we didn't have the PC culture. It was a lot easier to do that then. Mm-hmm. And I got you can have that belief now, but unfortunately, there's so much weight against you. Mm-hmm. And if you're not famous, you have to jump through the hoops sometimes, and it's frustrating.
Here's another thought. Is it possible that we're giving the PC culture too much attention? I mean, consider the fact that Pee Wee Herman got knocked out of the woods. This was back
He doing
in the 90s.
Hey, this dude is doing references from the 80s. First Joan Rivers, now Pee Wee Herman.
Just started bringing out some content.
Masturbating in an X-rated movie theater. I love what Letterman said about it. He goes, hey, at least he wasn't talking.
Yeah, exactly. I know, right? You should be able to do that at those kind of theaters. I think they have a certain carpet area where it's tarp put down.
Yeah.
I think the PC culture, that's why certain comedians don't do colleges or they stay away from certain gigs. I don't have the luxury of doing that, so I say yes to any gigs out there. Anybody,
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
It was just, on this week on Bill Maher was talking about that. He said they did this whole study thing on PC, and we're finding that 85% of white people are against it. 90% of the black community is against it, and 95% of Asians are against it. It's well, why are we giving so much attention to this microcosm of people?
I agree.
The people that get butt hurt over words.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's people never get upset over what you say. They only get upset about the story they make up about what you say, but they don't want to take responsibility for it because emotions are a byproduct of past-based experiences. It's not even about the moment you say it. They're collapsing it with their past, pulling it in the moment and blaming you because they don't want to be responsible.
What do you think when is it too soon to certain jokes Me Too movement and the way Dave Chappelle did that rape joke? I don't know if you've seen it. It was a Bill Cosby. It was a long written out joke.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but
when Louis C.K. Just something like that. When is it too soon to joke about certain things like that?
I think it depends on the topic. With what happened here in Pittsburgh with the Jewish synagogue, it's
obviously
you can't. What's funny about that? There's just nothing that, and I don't even know if anything would ever be funny about that.
No.
And I know people do Holocaust jokes.
Yeah, because it happened so long, but it's still morbid. It's still dark humor.
Right, and it's not even I don't want somebody to not feel that they can be self-expressed. Mm-hmm. There's some things sometimes that the audience is not going to respond to it, so it's why even bother doing it?
And I hate the new comedy where it's alternate. It's a shock value. They're not even doing it for laughs.
Totally.
It's they want to offend people. They want to shock people.
They want a Twitter,
but they forget that
to kick out.
Comedy is supposed to be making people laugh. At the end of the day, stand up at least.
Well, somebody once said when alternative comedy came out, it's basically the formula is set up, set up, set up, set up, set up. Set up. New topic. Set up.
Not for real. They're not in it for the laughs. It's just the content and to be different from everything else.
I feel that the art of being able to make someone think of why something is funny or
That's
humorous.
It's
part of the comedian's job. But a comedian understands the boundaries of when to break them and when to bring them back, and that is an art form.
Yeah,
that is an art form. And the problem is that there's a glimmer, like you were saying, there's a sliver of individuals who seem to latch on that and saying you offended, that's offensive. When in reality, they don't realize the whole intention behind it.
I don't give a shit what anybody say. When Kramer got heckled and then he ended up just going on a racist rant, there's nothing that he could pull back to get the crowd back.
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say? I give people passes on some topics, but
he flipped out.
Oh, he flipped out for sure. But then he showed his true colors. Like we know it's a lot of people that say nigga or nigger behind closed doors. But he's like, you were hanging from trees.
Yeah.
And he's like,
I don't think he's like. I just don't think he's racist. I think he just
pushed
it flipped out.
Oh, like if you're in an insult battle with someone, you want to really hurt their feelings. And I think that's where he was trying to get at. But
because he's not a trained stand-up, he doesn't have the experience. Oh, yeah. He freaked out and he didn't know what to do. And
I think it's like Chappelle had a good joke. Chappelle had a joke about it where he was saying the black side of him was kind of offended and pissed off. But then the comedian side was like, man, I hope you can get the crowd back. Come on, you pulled through it. You know, like, how's that going to happen? Because you got to follow after. But what was the craziest story that you could say for doing stand-up from either a fan coming up to you after the show or the booker not paying you? Or what's the craziest story you could tell me in the 29 years in the business?
Okay, so this is years ago. I drove 3 hours. It was literally like $100. And it was at some community center in Ohio. So I'm driving through the corn and everything. I'm getting a little nervous, right? I get to this community center, and I walk in, and it says on the wall, there's a sign, absolutely no profanity, no alcohol, no tobacco. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm not that edgy, but I'm a bit edgy, you know?
No profanity.
Yeah, and I said to the janitor, I go, what's going on here? He goes, oh, they're all Mennonites, which is like Amish. I'm like, oh, man, I should not be here.
What? Mm-hmm. He's like, let me just get my $100, do the gig.
So I walked up to the woman that hired me, and I said, there was like a stage with a big curtain. You can go behind the stage. And I said, so here's what's going to happen. I have to go change. I don't have my show clothes on. I got to plug my guitar in for my guitar part and all that. And then come up on the stage and introduce me. She goes, okay. So I go behind stage. I don't even have my show clothes on. And she goes up to the podium and introduces me. I'm not even dressed.
The curtain opened up?
It didn't open. No, because you had to walk through it. I'm like, what? So I get dressed, and they're waiting, the whole audience. And I stick my head around the corner, and I said, come here. And she goes, what? I go, introduce me from the stage. Let's be professional. So she introduces me from the stage, and I walk through the curtain, and they're applauding. And as she walks back through it backstage, I go, how about a round of applause for Barb? She thought I called her. So she comes out through the curtain again. She goes, what? What now? In front of everybody.
That's funny.
So I said, wow, I thought you guys said you didn't allow alcohol here.
That's funny.
And now I find out she's their boss.
She's in charge of everything.
Everything.
They were laughing at her expense.
So she goes and sits down, and I start my act, and they're kind of laughing, but at this point, I'm uncomfortable, they're uncomfortable, and all of a sudden I said something, and she gets up and walks towards the stage with her arms folded, looking at me. And I just said, oh, did you want to come back up here? And she goes, no, you are out of here. Get out of our building.
Damn, mid-set, like mid-show?
The middle of my set. Damn. And I look at everybody, and I go, you guys are laughing. Do you want me to leave? And nobody said a word.
Oh, like,
so I go,
because she was in charge.
So I go, answer me. And screamed it. And about 5 people go, yes.
And then you became the Tom Cruise and Jerry Maguire. Who's coming with me?
Right? Yeah, I was like, man, show me the money now.
But she didn't pay you?
So I went backstage. I pulled my cords out. I went out the back door, and I was like, it really hit me hard.
You didn't try to get the money at least?
Well, they were going to send the check.
Oh, yeah, okay.
No, I'm sorry. They gave me the check. That's what it was.
So, shit, you got paid anyway.
No, she canceled the check.
Fuck.
Oh, my God.
She canceled it, yeah.
That's shitty.
And it was a 3-hour drive, and I'm driving back to Cleveland, and I'm calling my manager. I'm like, I'm freaking out. I can't believe that. I'm freaking out. He goes, well, that's nothing. I know a comedian that they had to fly off on a helicopter on a cruise ship because they hated him so bad.
But oh my gosh.
So I ended up calling her, and she was acting like, oh, that was fun. Yeah, that was great. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to send you most of the money. Like it was nothing.
After that, you start learning to ask for a deposit before you go and perform somewhere.
That's some bipolar stuff.
So a year later, I go to the ski resort. I'm hired to do a corporate show, and I walk in, and I got that same vibe. And I said to the guy in charge, I go, what's going on here? I go, by chance, are these Mennonites? And he goes, well, the owners are. I'm like, crap. I go, let me tell you a little story.
At least they didn't
So I
remember
told him the story, and he goes, come here. Here's your check, paid in full. I'll cover you. You could leave. He goes, don't worry about it. He goes, I don't want to put you through anything.
That is so crazy.
So you got paid, and then you didn't have to perform.
Yeah, and I left, and,
Damn, because it would have been a lot of the same people?
No, it was totally different.
Because I didn't say Pete's originally from Cleveland, Ohio, so how was the Midwest comedy scene? He's like, nah, I moved to L.A. many years ago.
But see, this is the great thing when I started. So between Chicago, Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Cleveland, it was so condensed. There was so much work. You could just stay in that area and work every single night. Mm-hmm. There was just tons of work, you know, the UP in Michigan. And I did that. I mean, I did the South. I traveled everywhere. But, you know.
Once you get ready to hit Hollywood, you moved out west?
Yeah, I did like 18 years ago. So, and, you know, and the nice thing about doing the road for so long, it set me up in a way that I can go back and do shows mm-hmm. where I can, you know, because I've headlined Planet Hollywood and the Hard Rocks and the House of Blues, that it's a lot easier to get booked in places.
Mm-hmm. Some say that social media has changed the game a lot because of being the exposure, being able to get it out there.
Yeah, it's also a negative thing too.
Yeah.
Like, if you can give us an example of how you feel that.
I've seen a lot of social media with comics. I'm like, God, these people are really up to something big. Wow. And then I see them and I'm like, they're horrible. Yeah, they're not even an open micer. Yeah. But it's kind of like
skits. Like it's like recording skits.
It's like Trump. It's like the more you can spout what you want out there, the more some people are just going to believe it.
You get a following.
And unfortunately, even in LA for acting, some of the casting websites now,
they go off of your following on social media.
Yeah, they're bringing people that they don't have any credits,
like
but you have a lot of
influencers and stuff like that.
But the crazy part is that doesn't even mean that your social network is going to watch what you do. Mm-hmm. You know, clubs bring in comics who have a big following. That doesn't mean those people are going to come in. It just doesn't.
Because they have 1 million followers, so they're going to sell out 5 shows in the whole weekend.
It's not the way it works. Yeah. Now, if you're like let's say a YouTube star, mm-hmm. that's different.
You're building revenue with YouTube, obviously.
Yeah, totally, you know?
Yeah.
And those individuals have real hardcore fans, YouTubers. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are doing that in clubs who aren't even funny, don't even really have an act, really.
But they could sell out clubs.
And that's, I mean, if I had a club, I'd be with that too. You know, I just want to make money.
That's back going to the thing where it's not about comedy and making people laugh anymore.
Right.
It's about putting asses in seats.
Yep.
But like social media with me is you use it to promote ourselves and to put content online. Those people that say they're comedians, they get exposed once they go on the stage and be, oh, let me see you do 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. And they can't.
Well, that's been always the complaint around real comedy clubs around the country and bookers mm-hmm. is that, you know, they'll bring in someone who's like a Hollywood act many times, and that's been the complaint. They have 5 minutes, and even if they have 30 minutes, a lot of times it's about the industry. Mm. Because that's what a lot of people do in LA. Yeah. And so that's not what people want to hear in the Midwest.
You can relate, yeah.
Or the South or the North or the East, you know?
That's such a good point. Being able to riff and change your act depending on the area that you're at.
Or write the type of act that works almost anywhere.
That's true.
You know?
General enough.
Yeah, I mean it's gotta be, you know, as you know, from your heart.
Mm-hmm. People can't bite and people can't steal if it's your own kind of storyline, your own life experiences.
And it doesn't matter if it's silliness, if it's goofy, if it's smart. It's like, I think, like I've always said, like, I don't want to do a clean show and I don't want to do a dirty show. I want to do my show.
I agree. There was a video clip on YouTube where this girl asked Bill Burr, what do you think about the whole comic industry being male-dominated and very few females? I love how Bill Burr just stopped it and said, hold on with this shit. First of all, if you're funny, you have something to say, get out there. It doesn't matter what's between your legs. If you can make it happen, mm-hmm. get out there and make it happen. Do your own thing. Don't wait for anybody. Forget this crap of who's a woman, who's a man. Just go out there and do you. If you're funny, you're going to make it. If you're not, you're not. Mm-hmm. And what is your perspective on individuals who make it on their own? Like, mm-hmm. make it happen for you.
I totally agree. Just no Mennonite shows.
It's open. It's an open space. There's enough money for everybody out there. The platform is big with comedy.
Yeah.
With podcasts now, with just social media, all that. It is a male-dominated industry, though. That's a lot of industries.
But look at, I mean, who knows why it's male-dominated? I mean, I've talked to many, many women, and they said, for the most part, I just happen to think guys have a way of being funnier than women. Mm-hmm. Not all, but some.
I feel like even then, if you go back to the early times of stand-up, the old school, when you had to do the Tonight Show, to make a breakthrough on TV and all that, like it was only like Joan Rivers and Roseanne. It wasn't that many female comics, and it's just like a numbers.
Yeah,
but it's just it's a numbers thing too.
Right, and it is. So you know, but like you said, yeah, if you're gonna make a difference and you got to get out there. Just get out there and just see what the market's going to say, how it's going to go.
Yeah, if it works.
This is a disclaimer. There is some female comedians that are funnier than male comedians. Just a quick disclaimer.
Well, totally. I'm glad you said that because I was getting offended.
I was about to start a hashtag in a moment.
All right, like a cruise ship gig or something where you did where it was a crazy thing. Somebody heckled or a fan went up to you trying to have sex or trying to, you know what I'm trying to say, a chuckle fucker, what we call.
Years ago, I did a cruise ship. We were in Key West, in Florida, and it was like 1,000% humidity. Everybody was complaining it was ridiculous.
Florida's, yes. Hot as
So that night during the show, I said, wow, was it humid today? And everybody's like, yeah. And this is for like 2,000 people. I said, yeah, I went back to my cabin, I took my pants off, and a ship fell out. Like, I know it's a corny joke, but it was applicable to the day.
Yeah.
And it got a laugh, and the cruise director said, you cannot say that. I said,
What?
why not? Because people think you're saying shit. I go, but I didn't. Yeah, but they think that.
He said, I have a list. I have a list.
Yeah, I have a list. Yeah. But I'm like, and that was kind of like a weird...
Some of those cruise ships, you got to be clean, or is it both? You can do one clean and one
Nowadays,
family?
I haven't done them in a while. But you have to have a lot of material because you have to do multiple shows.
And I heard it's like family-friendly one and the other one more adult.
Yeah, and sometimes they want you to do teasers in the cafeteria during lunch, and I'm like, oh.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How are you feeling now after the many years of you putting your time into the comic circuit?
I feel like, in some ways, I feel like I'm just starting.
That's awesome, man.
I
That's
do.
a good approach.
Well, I do because I feel like I'm not really where I want to be. You know, I've got some stuff going on now. You know, and I've done some film and I've done some TV and commercials, but I feel like, for me, I've been stuck for a couple of years. And I've done a lot of like work on myself to like pull the layers back to really figure out like what's got in my way, what stopped me.
Or what's your niche that you could just run with.
Well, that's the second step.
Larry the Cable Guy type shit.
Yeah.
You just run with.
But it's almost like first you got to figure out why you're getting stopped, and then once you kind of like resolve that, then all of a sudden you can start jumping on the new stuff. Because if you're jumping on the new stuff and you keep getting stopped, it's because there's still something stuck.
All right, did you obviously you do music, you're an actor, comedy, and you do voiceovers too? Now, let's say you got cast for like The Simpsons back in '89.
Yeah.
And you were getting like Hank Azaria, like what do they get, like 300,000 an episode?
Well, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Would you still do stand up once you do get that breakthrough gig?
I would.
Or
Yeah.
you would still do it, right?
Yeah.
Me too. That's what I'm saying.
Because now you're going to get your audience. And
Yeah.
it's a whole different game.
Yeah.
You bring the opener you want. It's, you know, the show that you want to do.
By then, you're your own corporation when you're that level.
Totally.
That's why Jerry Seinfeld went back to the circuit himself.
Well, Jerry never stopped doing it though.
Yeah.
That's what people like Jay Leno. They never stopped doing it.
And Leno said that he's never spent any of his Tonight Show money.
He sure on all them damn cars.
I think he got that idea from Shaquille O'Neal.
No, that's just how much he's touring. That's how much he still does stand up. All right, people, not gonna have you too long, man. Like I said, it was a pleasure working with you this weekend.
It's fun.
Thursday night we didn't have no MC and no sound guy. I had to freaking be the guinea pig where the mic just went out on me, so I had a spoken word. I just acapelled it for about 5 minutes. But like those type of things,
Yeah.
when you do your guitar in your act,
Yeah.
how do you bounce back if something like this happened with the sound guy or something goes out, something's not working?
Man, I'll tell you, it's rare that ever happens. And
And this guy could play guitar really well. He ain't no joke on that guitar.
Yeah.
For a minute there, that first shot, I was like, dude, is he pressing a button and he's just going along with the track?
Yeah, right?
But yeah, so it's like if a sound guy is not working, your guitar's not hooked up, then you have to just wing it, just do all stand up.
And I mean, I'm set up where I do half stand up, half guitar. But I mean, if anything, I can pull out some older material. Mm-hmm. I can work the audience and ad lib them and just do what I need to do to get. And it's interesting you say that because God, this is going back like 15 years. I was brought into a club in the Midwest, and I get there, and they go, and this is when I was featuring, and they said, oh, the headliner uses a guitar, you can't use your guitar. I go, well, what am I going to do? And they go, you can't. So I went back to the hotel, and I was in panic mode. So I started pulling out all kinds of old material, and I started reworking 30 minutes without the guitar. But I got to tell you, man, I freaking killed.
Yeah, because it was new.
Because I put so much energy into the stand-up. Because I had to, like... There's an energy you get when you're using a guitar, especially electric guitar, and you're kind of screaming on it, on the stage. There's an energy you put out there. So I just took that energy and I put it into my stand-up. Mm-hmm. So all the material I always do worked way better.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the week, the owner of the club's like, man, he goes, I can't imagine how the show is with the guitar.
Yeah, right.
And that's the first time somebody came up to me and gave me a $20 tip.
Damn.
Without my guitar, I was like, damn.
I got tipped in Laughlin. Dude gave me $100.
Isn't it amazing?
And it was swingers that weekend. And the
That's
next
why.
show, this dude offered me his wife. I'm not lying. He's like, I want to recruit you. I was like, what is this? Some slave freaking draft slavery something? But his wife ended up looking like Marcy Darcy from Married with Children. So I was a little turned off. She looked like kind of dykish.
That's kind of turned on my end.
No.
Wow.
Disagree.
All right, so there you have it, man. We have Pete George, man, headline all over. Make sure y'all check out his website, upcoming shows. Where you at next, Pete?
I've got some time off. I've got a bunch of meetings in LA for a few weeks.
Hell yeah.
some auditions, but I'm in Iowa in beginning of December.
See, he could just hit them road gigs. I'm gonna get there soon.
Yeah.
We'll put all your info on our Homegrown Podcast.
Casino there, and then I'm doing Penguins, and then I've got some other stuff in the Midwest.
Heck yeah.
And then I got some stuff booked after that, but I don't book out like they used to because when you're in LA, it's like you can't. Like if you're not in town doing stuff, what's the point? And that's the hard part because that's how you made your money. Well, how do I make my money now that I'm not on the road?
Being a comic, the money is on the road.
Yeah, and I taught guitar. I still teach guitar. I taught Nicolas Cage's son for a year and a half.
That's dope. Nah, this dude's really excellent on guitar. Like I said, check out Pete George. What's your website?
The Rockstar of Comedy.
Damn, that's a little egotistic right there, but he is a rock star, man. Once again, thanks again. Checking us out. Homegrown Podcast, Jamario.
And Raphael. Thanks, guys. Peace.
Thanks.